through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Allo at 866-481-2556 or visit allofiber.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Football game days are fun for the whole family, but not every child is ready for 4 quarters in the stadium. That's why the Lincoln Children's Museum offers game day play dates for kids ages 5 to 12. While you enjoy the game, your kids enjoy their own adventure at the museum, conveniently located just steps from the stadium. Registration required. And the fun isn't just on game days. The museum is open 6 days a week with 3 floors of hands-on play and activities. Out-of-town families, make the most of your weekend in Lincoln. Visit lincolnchildrensmuseum.org.
Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle.
This is Rick Heyman with Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Sartor Heyman is celebrating 120 years, and you could win big. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for your chance to win a $120 gift certificate every week. That's right, we're giving away $120 every week as a thank you for being part of our story. Don't miss your chance to treat yourself. Follow Sartor Heyman Jewelers today. Celebrating 120 years. Sartor Heyman, when only the best will do.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Here we go. It is the Husker Football Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. With you in the 93.7 The Ticket studios, I am Austin Norman, hanging out for another hour, still with plenty to talk about in Nebraska football land. Joining us, as always, for the Husker Football Hour, his name's on the show. It is Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald. Tom, hello, a happy Monday evening to you. How are you doing, good sir?
Good. What's going on?
Well, there's a lot going on in Husker football land, which I'm sure we will get to over the course of the next hour or 55 minutes or so. But let's start with the football game itself. Nebraska takes down Maryland, final score of 34-31. Tom, I think there's a lot of things to take away from this game, big picture, and then when you talk about the players as well. But the main takeaway for me when I think about Nebraska, Maryland, is that, to me, the offense finally delivered. It's one thing to put up, 70 against Akron and another 50-odd against Houston Christian and whatnot. But for a while, I've been saying it's time for the Nebraska football offense, especially led by Dana Holgorsen, to carry its weight, to come through late in a game. Maryland's not the biggest time opponent, but they're certainly talented in a lot of areas. I think my biggest takeaway from this game is that the offense finally did what the offense was supposed to do in handling a 4-minute drive, a 2-minute drive, whatever you want to call it, paying it off with not just a field goal because they couldn't do that. They needed a touchdown. They got a touchdown. I think that's a huge step in the right direction for Nebraska.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks in a row now. They've been clutch when they had to be, and they found answers when before they just left with questions. I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row. It's a nice step forward, and it feels like it's a different Nebraska team right now. And the more you do this, the more you come through, the more confidence you have, and that you're able to do this. And you can, when you get into these close games now, you start to feel like, okay, this, we're going to win. So this is our time to go make plays and win. But it's just the way they came through. They were down. I forget how many points they were down, but they got the field goal and then the winning touchdown late. But just play after play after play, and in Raiola, the interceptions. Couple of them when he wasn't really pressured. He just threw them. They were just sort of ill-timed, or maybe the route was wrong, or something broke down. But he keeps fighting back, and it's a fun team. They're making plays in special teams. The defense play, isn't perfect, but it's been playing well. A couple of these games they had their backs against the wall because of the turnovers. So I don't know. It's a fun identity. A lot of these games are, a lot of these teams are right in the middle of the Big Ten. It's not everybody's at the top. These games are going to go either way, and they're starting to go Nebraska's way.
You can say it's a fun identity and not get the angry emails, Tom, because Nebraska did also run the ball pretty well. I mean, over 6 yards a carry as a team. Emmett Johnson, 21 carries for 176 yards. It's why I laugh sometimes when fans talk about, Nebraska is horrible at stopping the run. They're not so good at it. And, they can be right to a point, but sometimes the issues aren't just Nebraska. Sometimes it's a college football issue. I think if it was just the passing game, Husker fans would say, well, I mean, it works for now, but will it work in November? It can help Nebraska finish the season out. But I think you did see signs of life from the Nebraska running game against a Maryland run defense that showed, hey, guess what? Every team in college is made up of college kids that will have their bad days against the run. What did you like about Nebraska's running game against Maryland?
Well, it was a really nice game plan by Dana Holgorsen to come out of that thing running. And also the quick passes. I mean, it just felt like they're not going to give. Maryland's got a pretty good pass rush. One of the better ones they're going to see, and I didn't really give them a chance. And that's what the running game can do. And whether the running game sets up the pass, or the pass sets up the run, the running game needs to be part of every game. It just does. You can't win in this league without being able to run the ball or stop the run. So that was it was a good sign. And then they kind of quit running. They had interceptions. And we kept running the ball. And a lot of times it's easy to say that, and maybe it's because Maryland adjusted to it, or they put more in the box or something. But when they needed the run game late, it was sure there.
Capped off really for the run game by the 50-yard run by Emmett Johnson. An incredible game for him now that he's been, under wraps. I mean, shoot, the guy's on pace for 1,300 yards, which seems kind of hard to believe, Tom, that he's up there in the Big Ten in rushing, and that he's on pace for 1,300 yards. Of course, Nebraska went for a while without a 1,000-yard rusher until it was Devine Zigbo that snapped the streak. Now here they are with Emmett Johnson. Do you think that Emmett Johnson reaches 1,000 yards for Nebraska? Do you think that when the weather gets cold and what have you, Nebraska will be able to continue to commit to the run, or do you think that he's going to end up just short because Nebraska is going to want to, stick to the Dana Holgorsen identity a little bit more and maybe throw the ball with Dylan Raiola?
Well, I think Dana's identity can be the run too, and I think as his second go around in Nebraska weather, I think we'll see more of the run. But I think right now, Emmett's best friends are the passing game. The receivers, the tight ends, the quarterback who's been very accurate. I mean, that's one thing we haven't had. There have been some interceptions still, but boy, he has been very accurate. And so that helps the running game. I mean, people have, even in cold weather, they have to watch out for that. If you load up against a run, there's going to be guys wide open. So, I mean, there's a lot of different weapons on this side. And I think the running game has to be part of it every week. And the offense is going to be really hard to stop. So, I'm anxious to see it, this Friday night. Minnesota's, they've been really tough on Nebraska. They get up for the game, and they've been the more physical team every year. A couple years ago, Matt Rowe's first game, Nebraska should have won that game. Minnesota made a couple more plays at the end, and I think this game is going to go different.
Sure could, and we'll certainly keep talking about that throughout the course of the show and the week. Make sure you tune in, for Tom's columns as well, omaha.com or the Omaha World Herald for everything that Tom writes. Speaking of the depth of playmakers, Tom, especially in the receiving core, Dane Key has the one-hander to win it. Isaiah Hunter takes the screen pass for 64 yards. But two catches of equal importance and I think of difficulty level. Look at what the Nebraska tight ends did. Luke Lindenmeyer with his catch in the back of the end zone along the sideline. And then one of the key plays in that 2-minute drive for Nebraska late was Heinrich Harbert, making the catch there along the sideline. What'd you like from Nebraska's tight ends in that game against Maryland when they, had their number called in those big moments?
Just the playmaking. It's like you said, the Lindenmeyer catch especially had to be right. The throw had to be right where it was. It's just an incredible threading of the a very narrow area there, like right on the line, and he had to catch it and drag his feet in bounds while he went out. I mean, it was just a hell of a play. These guys make a lot of plays, and it's that's what Nebraska's needed. Don't worry about how it looks or the stats. Just go make a play. Go make a play, whoever you are, whatever position. And I think you're starting to see a lot of that. The kickoff return, guys on defense, it's kind of fun. And like I keep using the word fun, but it's fun to watch these guys make plays. They're very talented, and that's what has been missing in this program is confidence and guys making plays. And it's amazing what a season can just flip to. It can go in the right direction in a hurry if you just start doing that. So, again, it's still not a perfect team. The offensive line, and I'm not going to put it all on them, but there's still situations where, other areas are not getting their blocks, other positions. But I think now that the running game, I think really gave the line a boost, and a lot of the way the game started. So they actually did a nice job, I thought, keeping the rush off of Iowa. But yeah, it's what you were saying. The playmaking is it's everything, and the more it happens, the more other guys are going to do it too.
You've said the two things Nebraska had been missing, I tend to agree, is confidence and making plays. And I think that it's some programs and for some players, it would be, you got to make plays to have some confidence, right? You got to see it in action. You got to know that you can break that tackle or you can get that separation, whatever the case may be for each player. But Tom, I don't know, speak for you, but I think a lot of people would say that Nebraska's talent, while certainly in need of an upgrade, was probably better than the results showed over the course of the previous 7 years or so, which leads me to believe that for Nebraska, it came down to not needing to make plays to gain confidence, but in needing to gain confidence in order to make plays. Now, you look at a guy like Isaiah Hunter, looks like he's kind of, built different, as the kids might say, right? Big, fast, strong, explosive. And I think plenty of Nebraska receivers, get caught and don't outrun that angle like he did really back-to-back weeks, but especially against Maryland. But I do think this can tie into what Matt Rule was saying. I mean, you were at the presser today and you heard the same question I did when Matt Rule was asked, did he really understand the depth of the challenge when it came to figuring out the mentality of this team and the issues that it had as a program? And, it's taken 2.5 years, maybe give him credit for 2 years getting back to the bowl game as the first step in the right direction. But it does seem to me that with the upgraded talent, Matt Rule's done his part in instilling his guys on his team with that confidence that they need to not be afraid to go make plays and to have them believing that, yeah, you're here for a reason, and that reason is to make plays, and it seems to be paying dividends so far.
Yeah, and to me, the biggest difference on this, I think, to that confidence thing is the coaching staff. There's a lot of veterans, and knowledge is confidence. So is the hard work you put in. Preparation is confidence. When you feel like you're ready for anything, you're going to be confident. And quarterbacks are everything in football. They just are. That's why they're the highest paid, whether it's pro or college, and they get all the attention because they make that much of a difference. We've seen it to different programs. Indiana certainly right now is a program that has that guy. Nebraska, in their own way, is Norrell is one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the Big Ten right now in stats, but also I think in stature. He's getting it done, and it's not pretty, but boy, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is pretty. But it's like the attitude he has. The fight. What about this last week? Just like his dad, Dominic Raiola was the ultimate warrior, and his son, the quarterback, is a chip off the old block.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that a little bit. When you look at Dylan Raiola, what have you learned about the young man over the last 3 weeks, starting with the loss at Michigan and now the back-to-back wins over Michigan State and Maryland? What have you learned about number 15?
Well, I think he's grown a lot. As a quarterback, as a leader, as somebody who's going to set an example, and is going to go out there and is going to get things done. And it's just sort of evolved. Different players go through this at different stages, and he's doing it right now. At the beginning of his sophomore year. So, there's certainly going to be bigger games ahead, but I think he's going to meet the moment every week, and there's going to give Nebraska a chance in every game. It really is. I don't. The schedule now is so upside down. I don't know which game is which one is the hard, which one is not the hard. I guess they're all hard, but they're all kind of weird right now. So, but I just think there's stability to this team now, and it starts with the quarterback. What you're going to get every week, and you're going to get special teams. You're going to get a defense that plays hard and tough. You're going to get the playmaking and the hard charging running back. You've just got to get the offensive line up a little bit every week, and like I said, they're going to have a chance at every game.
It sure seems like it. Nebraska sits at 5-1 right now. It's the midpoint of their season. Of course, they have a short week as the Huskers will turn around and face Minnesota here before too long. We'll get to that in our next segment. But Tom, I do think this was one of the more impressive games of Dylan Raiola's career in terms of his mindset and his mentality. I mean, you think about what Matt Rule said about him, during Michigan and Michigan State. He was seeing red. He was upset. He was frustrated. He was angry, all that good stuff. But it sounds like he was channeling it pretty well in a healthy way. This was a game where I think Dylan Raiola and his mindset, his mentality were really tested. 2 bad interceptions, one that looked like it, was intended to go out of bounds and just didn't quite get there. I'm not saying he doesn't respond the same way last year. And again, some of that's the pieces around him. But I think that, Dylan Raiola's first 3 interception game in college might have rattled him last year. Nebraska wouldn't have had the pieces around him to pick it up. But I think that's another big way you see the growth in this program is Dylan Raiola didn't let it bother him. It didn't feel like, for the first time in a while, like the game was over, just because Nebraska turned it over 3 times. Obviously, Matt Rule said, can't get away with doing that very often in the Big Ten. So we got to learn and grow from it. But I think it does speak to just the growth of the program that even after the pick 6 that Raiola threw for his 3rd and final interception, for other previous Nebraska teams, I think fans would have felt like, it's over. That's that. It was fun playing, but Maryland's going to find a way. I never got that sense from Nebraska fans on Saturday.
Yeah, I think but I think there was a little question. They'd done it against Michigan State, and they held on in the first game at Arrowhead. But I had a little question. Well, are they going to be able to do this again? And they did. And now I'm going to expect every week now, if they get down, okay, they're going to be able to hang in there, and they're not going to collapse. They're going to fight back, and they're going to be right in this thing. So, they need to do is get that lead and just keep adding on to it. But I just think again, he he wouldn't have handled it the same way last year. But that's football. That's sports. That's just growth. That's youth. That's you go through, you have experiences, you have hard knocks, you get knocked down, and you learn, okay, I made this mistake, I'm not going to do this again, or I'm going to be able to grow from this, I'm going to learn from it. That's what we're seeing, I think, all over the team. But again, I think these guys, the coaching staff has been so prepared. And I think Dylan's a year older. I'm just so impressed with the way he has come back or come out of the off season. And it's one thing to say, well, he should be better, but he really has. He shows it, and it's just so obvious. Not only in just the plays he's making, but just the way he carries himself. And it's not easy for a sophomore to be the leader of the team. You're still in that zone where it's the upperclassmen. I kind of run the show, but the quarterback is expected to be that guy, and even as a sophomore, he's that guy. So he's special. Quarterbacks at Nebraska and most places that care about football are judged by W's. So. How great is he? How special? Well, let's see what the record is at the end of the year. And right now it's 5-1. That's a pretty damn good record. But there's challenges ahead. But more, I could clinch a bowl game Friday night. That's kind of a weird thing, and that was a bigger deal last year. I think it's not going to be a story this year. But it's just sort of a sign of the times that, this is, they could get the 6 Friday night, and then they're going to want more, and if they can get this one, this is a big one. Minnesota owns them. They won 5 in a row, and they love beating Nebraska. But they get this one, and then, don't pull Penn State and beat Northwestern at home. I mean, that USC game is going to be another Michigan game. It's going to be okay. You get a second chance at this thing. So a lot of fun ahead.
A lot of fun ahead indeed, including on this very show. This is the Husker Football Hour. He's Tom Shatel with the Omaha World Herald. I'm Austin Norman. We'll take our first break of the show. Plenty more discussion on Nebraska football and the hot topics of the day when we return on 93.7 The Ticket. Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, slight chance of showers, especially this afternoon. Otherwise, probably sunny skies will be breezy, the high around 67. Tonight, a chance of showers, the low around 54. And tomorrow, a continued chance of scattered showers, otherwise cloudy skies with the high around 67. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Make your next event unforgettable with Grazing Gouda, your local artists and experts in charcuterie and grazed tables. From boardrooms to ballrooms, they turn gatherings into experiences with stunning spreads of artesian cheeses, cured meats, fresh fruits, and gourmet bites. Perfect for corporate luncheons, weddings, parties, or any celebration that deserves a wow moment. They handle the details. You take the compliments. Book your graze table today at GrazingGouda.com. Grazing Gouda, because every event deserves to be savored.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in season? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, we are back here on the Husker Football Hour. Austin Foreman here, Tom Shatel there. Let's go ahead and talk about what we just left off on there, Tom. Nebraska and Minnesota. Matt Rule pointed out today it's been since 2006 Nebraska has won road games in back-to-back weeks. That's kind of crazy that it's been 19 seasons and change now for Nebraska. And, of course, the Gophers have gotten 5 in a row on Nebraska. Last time Huskers beat them was back in 2015. Matt Rule had a really, glowing response and answer when he was asked about the breast cancer awareness game and all the respect that he has for PJ Fleck. While I'm sure that's true, I'm also pretty sure there is a fire burning inside Matt Rule and this Nebraska football program to finally get back on the board against a Minnesota team that's found all sorts of creative and interesting ways to have Nebraska's number in the last decade.
Well, 2006, that was the Cotton Bowl year. They won the division, Bill Callahan, third year. And I'm trying to think what those road games would have been. It wasn't Boulder. They won the year before in Boulder. They didn't win in Missouri, I don't believe. No, I think they played. I don't remember. Austin, if somebody's got a media guide or some kind of thing there to help me out, I'd love to know what those two games
were. I got it, Tom. It was October 7th and October 14th. Number 22, Nebraska went to Ames and doubled up Iowa State 28-14, and then went down to Manhattan the very next week and beat Kansas State 21-3.
With Ron Prince as head coach.
Indeed.
And James Franklin on the staff.
Hello.
How about that for irony? How about that for
Fascinating.
symmetry and weird karma and all that stuff? What a connection. Yes, sir. I think he was. I don't know. He was one of the coordinators for Ron Prince.
Yeah, OC.
And I don't know if a guy named Frost might have been on that. I don't know. I think he was part of something down there.
Yeah, he was the grad assistant for the defense. You're right.
Oh God, what a tangled web we weave. Wow. I could probably get a column out of that. Here, let me go type. I'll be right back. Yeah, this thing has a little less bite to it because Frost and PJ really, I don't think they hated each other, but they might have hated each other. They did not like each other. They took shots at each other. In press conferences, Frost at Big Ten Media Days talking about the mumbo jumbo culture stuff, and then after Minnesota won the 1 year Minneapolis, PJ's first comment was something about that was a culture win over a more talented team, and just stuff like that. They really wanted to beat each other pretty bad. These two coaches are really good friends. I ran into Rule this summer someplace, and he was talking about PJ and how he was. Rule was on vacation in New Jersey on the beach or something, and he got a text from his phone lit up, and it said PJ on it. He was calling him about something, and he wanted to just talk to him about something. And PJ had run into some people from Nebraska at some golf outing up in Minnesota. He wanted to tell Rule about it. So these guys have a different relationship. It's out of respect. It's two guys who like to build and do the culture thing very well. So it's fun, and it would be better for Nebraska. It's one of these things. It could be. I'm not going to play every year, but it's a good trip. It's my favorite trip in the Big Ten. I think it's got potential to be a rivalry of sorts. We already have the coolest trophy in the Big Ten. I don't care what anybody says. I love that chair. I don't know the whole story behind it, but I love it. And I think it had something to do with maybe Pelini breaking a chair in the locker room. If that didn't happen, well, it probably should have. But I think this is my favorite trip, and I think Nebraskans love going up there. It's a pretty good drive. It's not bad. But yeah, I'm sure they're telling them, hey, you lost to these guys, 5 in a row, and it's time to get them. So, looks like Minnesota's good, but they could have lost last week. They dropped a couple other ones. But they'll be ready. They're always ready. Their fans are always ready. They love to beat Nebraska. They love to, send them home. Send them home unhappy. But Nebraska's had some good wins up there too. I'll always remember when your Mike Riley won up there, and it was like one of his biggest wins.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, Minnesota just ran him out of the building, and that's when we heard the famous Bill Moose, the booming voice of the Moose out of his suite right next to the press box. Going, oh no, just like that was the sign. Okay, was going to be a coaching change, and oh no says it all. But hopefully there won't be any oh no's on Friday night.
It remains to be seen. I think that's a fascinating series for all the reasons that you mentioned. Nebraska's had its chances. Minnesota's has its chances. And really, Tom, I think it's an underrated rivalry that Nebraska fans never wanted to turn into one, right? Minnesota hasn't really had historical football success. And I think when Nebraska joined the Big Ten, I mean, it makes sense with the geography, right? That's only, 5-hour drive. I agree with you. I mean, fantastically easy drive. Love the city, love the trip, even though it's my personal house of horrors, Tom. I've been to Minneapolis 3 times for Husker sporting events. The first one was the game Minnesota rolled up 50 on Nebraska. I think it was 54-28. The second time I went up there, Minnesota men's basketball hung 100 on Nebraska, or that was the third time. And the second time I was there for Hoodiegate, the 35-7 Noah Vedral starts. Nebraska wasn't supposed to wear hoodies or sleeves or whatever out on the field, and they did. So, I mean, Minneapolis has not been necessarily kind to the Huskers, although it is a fascinating series. I can tell you this on the trophy. Down here at the ticket, we have a Mill Coffee in the same space as us. And one of the baristas, Luke, is one of the guys who actually helped design and cut the wood for the $5 Bits of Broken Chair trophy.
It's fast. It's just fantastic. And I love that stadium. It's one of the modern stadiums. You don't see very many modern, the things that were built in the last 30 years or so. It's really well. It's placed perfectly in that campus area. You get the hockey arena. You can see the Williamsville barn, the basketball barn. I just love the whole thing. And I think most Husker fans think of Minnesota. They remember the 70s. And the Nebraska used to play Minnesota occasionally. I think they were on a schedule a few times in the 70s and the early 80s. And, of course, most of them remember the 84 to whatever game in 83. With that team could have done that to anybody. But I know probably some Nebraska fans think of that when they think of Minnesota. Well, that certainly has changed. But I remember the great sports writer from Minneapolis Star Tribune, Sid Hartman, who lived to be in his 90s. I mean, he was still going to games up there, but he would always still grumble about that game. He was always so bitter about how Osborne ran it up and all this stuff. I ran it up. I think you're just handing off, basically. But it's I think it's always had a little bit of if they could play every year, and certainly if the coaches stay, including the one in Lincoln stays, then I mean it should be a rivalry, I think, or a series that would really grow into something, one of the more meaningful games on the schedule every year.
You brought it up, Tom. Let's get into it a little bit here.
I mean, it's the elephant in the room,
We were going to get there, but I think let's start from this angle before we get into the everything around it. Is this the right time, potentially, for Nebraska to be playing Minnesota? I ask that in the spirit. Nebraska can't afford to lose focus on Minnesota, a team that hates them, that doesn't like them, that takes great joy in beating Nebraska. If this were, no offense, Northwestern or Purdue, or, even before 2 weeks ago, UCLA, you could maybe see an argument where, okay, yeah, maybe Nebraska could stumble, Nebraska could trip up because they weren't focused. You never like going to Minneapolis on a short week after travel, but I do think that if this program is in the headspace that Matt Rule believes it to be, if it's exhibiting the growth that Matt Rule truly sees, then there's nothing like a short week of, just game prep, no room for anything else against a team that you owe a lot to. I think that's maybe the perfect antidote for all the rumors and hearsay floating around Husker land over the last couple days.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I don't think there'll be any lack of focus. I think there'll be a lot of focus because of what the coach has done in 3 years. He's set this culture to where, it's all about the team. It's all about how you're going to play, having each other's back, so on and so forth. And now they have this identity, this sort of momentum going from crab cakes to Mall of America. They're going to carry this thing on the road up there. And so I don't think I really don't. And we'll hear some players tomorrow, but I really don't think those guys care about any of this stuff. They're certainly not, insulated from it. They all have phones. They all have social media. They know the score. They know everything that's happening. But I don't think it matters. I just don't think it'll be any kind of distraction. I don't expect anybody to have an off game because of whatever is going on. And I expect Matt Rule to be Matt Rule, is transparent with players, up front. They're telling them, here's the deal, and here's what I could tell you, and I think it'll be just a normal week. Well, it hasn't been a normal week so far, but I just think it'll be a game like all the rest. So I don't expect this to be. I think it'll be more of a distraction for the people on social media and the media people, the fans. But maybe we'll see. I don't know. We're all kind of novices at this, man. Nebraska's never lost a coach to another school since Pete Elliott, right? You remember Pete, right? 1957.
Of course.
Nobody's ever left Nebraska. A bunch of them have been told to leave, but nobody's ever left on their own. And to my, I was barely here. So I was here for one game in 1978, but Osborne did go to Boulder and talk, came back. Frank Solich, as an assistant, was talking to a couple, maybe KU or maybe Minnesota or somebody, but never as head coach. He never looked at other things as a head coach, and so it's never happened. There was always talk about maybe somebody wanted to talk with Pelini, but I don't think it ever really got legs. So. Or maybe he started those. I don't know, but I'm just saying this is the first time we've ever been through this. I don't know how to approach it or how to deal with it. Today was kind of weird in a lot of ways, but but again, I don't think it's going to be a big deal to the team. I just don't.
A couple things to spin off of that, Tom. I mean, Jay and I were talking about that right before we got on this show. I mean, if you think about the coaches Nebraska's had, it's either they left on their own, Devaney and Osborne, were fired for whatever reason for Solich and Pelini. We don't need to relitigate all that. Or they were fired due to gross underachievement in some way, shape, or form in Mike Riley and Scott Frost. I will push back only ever so slightly on Nebraska hasn't gone through this before because the football team hasn't. You're 1,000,000% correct on that. I'm getting big overtones of Dave Van Horn to Arkansas, though.
Oh, you mean that? Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I mean the football.
Yeah.
If you want to talk basketball, Danny Neath thought he was going to Rutgers. Well, he didn't get the job, but he famously went on his radio show and talked about these things. But and then it didn't happen. But yeah. Baseball, absolutely, but I'm talking in terms of football, the crown jewel. It's never happened, and I'm sort of interested in how the rest of this thing is going to go. And look, the timing of this is awkward and bad, but it's nobody's fault. It's
it's James Franklin's fault, but
well, you used to have to wait until after the season for all these things. The weekend after Thanksgiving or the Monday after Thanksgiving was when everybody got fired. Now it happens every week. So, But I'm just looking at this going, and I guess I've transitioned into this topic, so I'm just going to go. But you know, I believe that there has been talk already and there has been deep thought about this, because I guarantee Matt Rule has thought about this job before and what would happen if it ever opened up. Would I want to go and be the head coach at Penn State? I guarantee you he's thought about that over time. And you know, what would I do? Now, he didn't know that he was going to be at a place like Nebraska that he likes, and he could arguably stay. So I don't know how that factors in. I guarantee you, Pat Kraft, Penn State AD, his friend, has also thought, well, every AD has a list. Who would I hire? So if James Franklin left or wasn't the coach, who would I? You know, so everybody's there's no surprises here. So I don't know where this thing stands, if he's number one on the list, or he's just a name, or they've talked about it, or what. What I do know is, given the chance today to say, I'm not a candidate, I'm staying, he didn't do that. So,
well, and it would have been dumb for him to do that, right? I mean, just from a purely business perspective.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if you know, I mean, because this could affect recruiting. I mean, this could affect. I mean, you don't want this to. You don't want it to be out there festering if it doesn't have to. So I think and these things happen over the years when people are involved in jobs and they find out they're not going to get the job. They come back and they immediately send out a release. I'm not a candidate for that job. I'm not part of it. So, but that's when they know they're not going to get it usually. But so it does happen. But I just wonder how the rest of the season factors into this, man. If this is one of these things that's going to go on all season, what if Nebraska loses to UCLA? Well, that's a loss that got James Franklin fired. They're going to hire the guy that loses to UCLA. What if Nebraska loses to Penn State? What about that? You hire him after he loses to Penn State? Some of these games coming up are going to be intriguing as hell. And you know, usually when you get a job like Penn State, you've won big. So what kind of record were we talking about here for Nebraska? Well, nobody knows. We're just going to have to find out. But it's really interesting, isn't it? It's and I feel like I wonder where Nebraska fans, where their heads are. How do they feel about this? Well, yeah, it's his alma mater, but you know, Nebraska fans see their program as at the very least equal to the Penn State program. Like, you know, you don't leave Nebraska to go to Penn State. That's just not happening. So, but this is a special circumstance. But still, I just wonder how they view Rule after today. And of course, if he keeps winning, it you know, none of that'll matter. But anyway, it's and he threw that thing out there about the financial commitment to the roster today, and that almost as if that was, well, you know, if I can get that, I'll stay. That to me, it was sort of an inference there of I need something, you know, and so he brought it up, but just kind of I was just sitting there just taking it all in, and it just seemed like Matt didn't know what he was praising Penn State. He was praising Nebraska. At one point he said, when he talked about James Franklin and the great job he did, he said, yeah, you know, look at what he did at my alma mater, as if he had to remind us that it was his alma mater. I mean, was he reminding Penn State or reminding us, or it was just, I don't know if he needed to say that, but he did. And I think maybe he just came out, but it was something else. A day I haven't seen before at Nebraska.
Yeah, no, and you're completely right. We haven't seen this day before at Nebraska. Someone brought up Danny Busby Kelly at Louisville. Well, that's completely different because there isn't a better volleyball job in the sport. And here's what I said to Jay on our previous show, Tom, and I'll run it past you. Nebraska is not a stepping stone school. It never has been. It probably never will be. And it's different for Matt Rule because of the alma mater tie to Penn State, which is why I think Dave Van Horn is certainly an instructive case, at least to some degree, if not a perfect parallel. But I do think it's fair to say that Nebraska, could be in danger of being a stepping stone school if in the new college football playoff era, 8-4 is the ceiling or 9-3 is the ceiling. And of course, there's a coach out there, don't know who it is. Again, this is purely hypothetical if Matt Rule were to take the job. But, Nebraska is always, with its location, with its geography, with its, recent past, in danger of becoming a stepping stone school, which makes it that much more important for Nebraska to continue to get it right, whether that's in retaining Matt Rule and believing in him to be the one that takes Nebraska to the college football playoff year after year, or should Matt Rule, see greener pastures in Happy Valley, getting the next hire right, to get the guy in place that doesn't see Nebraska as a stepping stone, no matter who comes calling, because there is untapped potential or there's more under the surface than some people would see. There'll be some coaches that look at Nebraska and say, yeah, it's too far from the talent I want. It'll take too much work to build the roster. That job's not for me. But for every one of those coaches, there's got to be a coach out there that says, yeah, Nebraska is the destination in the heartland for college football. It can get anyone it wants, or it can get the exact type of players that I want. The support is more than enough for me with what I know they can give. I think there's a lot going on with the internal dynamics of how Nebraska is viewed in its own mirror, but also a little bit externally as well in situations like this.
Well, I think that's what Rule was talking about today, and he's right. You got to keep upping the commitment, and whether or not the boosters are in the mood to do that with the economy. I mean, the farmers are going through things. University of Nebraska is going through things. He wants more, and he understands that is the formula of winning right now. I mean, the thing about a stepping stone, well, you're only as good as your last win. I mean, look at Indiana right now. I mean, that's the new blue blood. It's like this year's blue blood. It's this year's playoff national title contender. I don't know if the NIL was part of. I think they just got a hell of a coach and some very good football players. But you can buy your way up the ladder now, and so if Nebraska's a stepping stone, if some guy comes in there and wins and leaves, who cares? I mean, yeah, you don't want him to leave, but if you left because he won big, like Dave Van Horn did. I mean, Dave Van Horn left after he won big. Mm-hmm. After he did things nobody had ever done before. And so, yeah, you say, okay, you're going to your alma mater, but hey, thanks very much. Got the stadium built, Haymarket Park, College World Series. Somebody can come into their football and do those kind of things. But here's the thing. I don't think if you win big in Nebraska, you don't want to leave. People forget what this job is like, what this state is like when they win big. It's been too long. It's different, man. It's fun. It's a great place to be a head coach. It's one of the greatest places to be a head coach if you're winning big. But Matt Rule has not experienced that. And boy, if he could only do that this year and experience it, he may not want to leave, So it's all possible. But a lot of it now is based on money and revenue for the roster, whatever they call it, roster money, roster revenue, whatever. But so Nebraska is not about being an isolated state or population or we're too far away. I mean, Matt Rule is recruiting his butt off. They're getting some big time guys in there. They're still on the way. So you can still do it, but it's got to take money and a coaching staff that head coach, mainly had a head coach and the money for why guys go to these schools. And I will throw in Nebraska fans. Nebraska fans are a force of nature. They're a ace in the hole for Nebraska recruiting. You know, the players pay attention to everything, and they love Nebraska fans. So I don't think that's a fire that will never extinguish. I don't believe in apathy for Nebraska. I don't think it'll ever happen. People care too much for there ever to be apathy. They'll just keep firing coaches if they don't win. But they, I don't think stepping stone. I think this is a different thing. It's his alma mater, and there are Penn State fans who are really they're kind of lukewarm about Rule. They're not worried about having an alum wave the blue and white pom poms. They're worried about going to beat Ohio State, and he has not proven because he hasn't had that kind of team yet. Mm-hmm. But he's unproven, and he'll be a risk if they hire him because he hasn't won those kind of games. Hasn't won a championship. Hasn't won he had the 1 year at Baylor, and they were great, but they didn't win the Big 12. They didn't win the Sugar Bowl, but they had to, and we never found out what he could have done if he had stayed. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the people at Penn State, I don't know based on some of the reaction I'm hearing, I don't know if he's the guy or not. He might be the guy, but he might not be the guy. And I'm just fascinated by this because I guarantee you he and Kraft, his buddy Kraft, have